All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name is Jess Feltz. I am a customer success manager here at CompanyCam. Going to be leading today's training. Joining me today are also Bree Campbell and Sarah Matern. They'll be answering your questions in the chat today. So at any point during today's process, feel free to throw any questions in there. They might respond to you in the chat. Otherwise, if it's something that everybody can benefit from, they might go ahead and ask me directly and I can respond to you on video here. But I wanted to kind of give you just a quick heads up as to what today's class is going to be about. So I'm assuming most of you are probably working in an industry where you are typically providing your photos and reports to insurance companies for supplementation. And as we all know, if you're supplementing to insurance, they're going to try and find every possible way to not pay out on that claim. So I'm going to be talking today about all of the CompanyCam features that are going to be very important in terms of supplementing to insurance, and then just really covering your bases so they don't have any pushback that they can give you that you didn't give them the proper information. So as part of today's class, we're going to be talking about creating a report using CompanyCam, organizing with tags and labels, establishing date and timestamp settings, if that's something that's going to be important to have on those photos. We're also going to talk about utilizing to-do lists. So making sure that your crew is taking every photo that you need up front so you have them later. You don't have to go back and get any additional photos after the fact. And then also writing photo descriptions and adding text snippets on those reports so you have the data that you need to put those photos in context. We'll also be talking about how to generate a PDF version of those reports, since we all know that insurance companies can always be a little bit iffy on clicking on links. We'll show you the easiest way to make sure that that data is actually getting to the insurance companies. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and share my screen here. And all right, so if you've never joined us for a training before, on your screen there on the left-hand side, you should see the mobile version. And on the right-hand side, this is going to be our desktop version of CompanyCam. We'll kind of be going back and forth in between the mobile version and the desktop version today. The nice thing about pretty much everything we're going to be talking about today is that you can do it on both the mobile version as well as the desktop version. So for a lot of this, I'm going to be showing you on the desktop version just for clarity's sake. If you are working back in the office, this is probably the fastest and easiest way to do that, but I'll kind of be bouncing back and forth a little bit in between. So if you've been working in CompanyCam, you're probably already familiar with your projects. So over here on the right-hand side, we're just looking at a roofing project that has been created here. And we already have all the photos that we have required to be supplemented to insurance. So as you see here, we have plenty of exterior photos. We have all of our roofing photos. And we can go in now and we can actually create a report for this information. So if you are supplementing to insurance, probably a big portion of that is consolidating your photos into as few attachments as possible so they can't claim that they lost a photo. They can't claim that there are too many photos to look through, anything like that. The easiest way to do that is going to be with your reports. So since we are in our project right now, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to start selecting the photos I want to include as part of that report. If you're not already familiar with this, you can actually just mass select anything from that date by clicking this little bubble next to the date. And that will select everything that you took on that day. So let's just say I want to include absolutely every photo we took as part of this project. Now, what we're going to do, you'll see up at the top, we have this blue bar that's been created that gives us this actions button, this reports button, and this share button. Now, what we can always do is if we just want to send the photos along via a link, you can always click on share. You can share that gallery. But for today's purposes, we're just going to click on this reports option. So you'll see right at the very top of this drop-down menu, it's going to give you the option to create a new report. You also have the ability to add it to an existing report, but we're going to create this from scratch. So the first thing that we're going to do here is create a report title. So 4431 Meredith, I'm just going to keep this the same as our actual address information, so it's easy to locate. And then you'll be able to determine how many photos per page you want to include. So the more photos you include per page, the smaller they're going to appear on the actual final report, and vice versa. Just for ease of what we're doing today, I'll just click on 3 photos per page. We'll split the difference. I'm going to click Create Report. So once I've done that, you'll see that's going to take us to our report builder here. And all of our photos have been loaded up. And you'll see here on the left-hand side, we can adjust our cover page information first. So if I want to get in here and I want to make sure that our company logo is displaying, you can make sure that that is toggled on. You can also see if you want to display a cover photo, you can toggle this on or off. And then any of this metadata, including your company name, the creator name, photo count, etc. So once you're all good there, we can just go into our individual sections. Now, the really great thing about our reporting as we've created it is that you can break it out into sections to add additional context for the types of photos that you're taking. So in this case, let's say that I wanted to break this up into our exterior photos versus our roofing photos. So I already have this one that's going to automatically generate. This will just say section 1. I can rename this if I need to. So I'll just say exteriors. And then I can create a new section here that we can just call roof. And then what I can do in my exterior section, you'll see right below there, I have this option to include a section summary. So you can just manually type in whatever you might need to include here as part of that summary, a statement of completion, anything like that. Or, I'll just say exteriors of 4431 Meredith. You can also down here, you can bold that text, you can italicize, you can add bullet points, numbers, or you'll see here this little starred paragraph kind of icon. That is for you to use text snippets. Now, text snippets are going to be basically mini templates that you can create if you are reusing the same text over and over again. So if I click on that, you'll see here that I have my full list of existing text snippets that I can click on use and I can drop that in. Otherwise, I can just create a new one. I can create a title for it, type in whatever I need to as part of my text snippet. Once again, I can bold, italicize that, bullet point it if I need to, and create a new one. In this case, I'm just going to still manually enter that information there, and we're all good to go. Now what I can do is take a look at my photos, and I can add any additional text that I need to as part of that photo. So you'll see here directly to the right of that, I can click here to add text. So this is front exterior, and that will be saved on that photo. Otherwise, you'll also see down here in my text options, I can once again use these text snippets. So once again, as I'm going through, if I just want to drop that in very easily, I can do that. We'll take a look at one of these right here. I'm just going to click on use text snippet for this one. And we will just go ahead and going to use this roof snippet. Now you'll see here that I have just dropped that in. No need to manually type that in. You'll also see that that's editable for me. So I can make any adjustments there as necessary. So now that I have that entered, I can go ahead and I can move on to my other section. Or if I have already added photo descriptions on my individual photos, I can drop those in as well. I can also do that with my photo comments. You'll see right beside my section title, I have this photo options dropdown. If I click on that, I can choose to load in photo descriptions or load in photo comments. I'll show you where you can add those descriptions later if you're not familiar with that. The other nice thing that I can do here is I can rearrange these photos. So if I need to drag them into a particular order, for example, I can just drag and drop them where they need to be. I can save that. Or I can also move those photos. So if I need to move multiple photos, we'll say here, once again, I want to select these roofing photos and move them into section 2. I can do that. So I'm just going to select my new location and select roof. And I'm going to click confirm and add photos. So you'll see now I'm in my roofing section and I can add a new summary for this if I need to. So once again, if I need to add a summary per section, I can do that. And I can start adding text to those individual photos as well as use my text snippets. If you are wanting to load in your photo descriptions or your photo comments, once again, just per section, you will need to go into this photo options section right here next to your title and just click on that load in photo descriptions or load in photo comments. You can also fully delete a section there if you added one that you don't actually need. So once you're done, you're actually going to have a few different options as to how you can send this information out. If I go up here to manage, I can just choose to share this report, and then this will give me a link that I can copy, or I can click on this email button and it will connect to Gmail or Outlook or whatever my email provider is. Now, once again, if we're supplementing to insurance, 9 times out of 10, your insurance companies are not going to want to open up links. They'll claim it's for security reasons. They might just not want to click on those. So what we'll typically do is generate a PDF of your report and then include that as an attachment. So to generate that PDF, obviously you'll see this big blue generate PDF button. We'll click on that. This will give you a preview of the PDF, how that will look once you download that. And then if that is all to your liking, you can just go directly over here to this download PDF button, click on that, and then that will download the item. And you can always move that where you need to and include it as an attachment in an email. So once again, always recommend if you are supplementing to insurance, generate that PDF, include that as an attachment. You can also save those externally if you want to keep those in a secondary location, so you have them for future reference. All right, so Breeze, Sarah, any questions that have come in the chat that we need to address? Awesome. All right, in that case, let's go ahead and move on to tags and labels. So I'm going to hop back to my home screen here, and I am going to hop onto my mobile version here. And I already started this project, so we're going to hop in that same project we were just in, and we're going to talk about tags and labels. Now, tags and labels are referring to basically searchable tags that you can apply either on the project level or on the photo level. So on the project level, they are going to be referred to as labels, and on the photo level, they're going to be referred to as tags. So you'll see here on the mobile version, if I want, right below where it says add project contact there, and right above my photo feed, I have this option to add a label. So if I click on that, this will give me my my full list of labels that I've already created, and I can select any one of these that I need to. I can also create a new label from here by clicking this plus sign. I can type in a new label and I can select whatever color if I want to color code those. I'm just going to click cancel and I'm going to select a specific one here. So I'm just going to select 2022 roof and I'm going to save that. So now that that label is applied, I can search for any project that has that label included. I'm also going to do something else here. I can apply multiple labels if I need to. So let's say that this is a bid. I'm going to select bid as well. I'm going to click on save. And you'll see that both of those labels are applied. Now, I'll show you here on the desktop version, a really quick and easy way to search for those projects by that label. So you'll see here, I have my project section over on the left. I'm going to click on that. And you'll see this black filter button right up at the top. So I can click on that. I can filter my projects by my start date and end date or the user that created them. Or in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just select my labels. So once again, we're looking for 2022 roof. And I can click on that and I can apply that filter. And then you'll see that it will only pull up those projects that have that filter, or excuse me, that have that label applied. Now, if I want to further delineate that information even more, I can apply multiple labels and I can cross-reference. So I'm going to go back to filter, going to click on that, and we'll search for that bid label as well. I'm going to click on apply filter. And once again, we are consolidating that down to just the ones that have both of those applied. So I'm going to click on that, and then that will take me right to my project. And now I can gather whatever information I need from here. So on your mobile version, you can also search for that information. So I'm going to exit out of my project here, and you will see down at the very bottom of your home screen, you're going to have this home icon. And then between your home icon, your camera button, you'll see this little kind of picture-in-picture icon. If I click on that, you'll see that down below, or excuse me, up at the top, you'll see that you can switch between photos, projects, or reports that you have saved. I'm once again hopping into my projects, and you'll see down in the lower right-hand corner, you have this little white circle with kind of a grid icon here. So if I click on that, this will give me those filters I'm able to search by. So once again, date, users, or in this case, label. I'm just going to search for all of my bids in this case. Click on that, save, and it's pulling up everything that has that label applied. Now, the only thing to keep in mind here is on the mobile version, those labels will be sticky. So you'll see here on that filter, there's a little one there indicating that I do have a filter applied. So if I want that to go just back to the standard filter, I'm just going to exit out, save, and that'll just go back to all of my projects. All right, so any questions about that? Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about tags then. So tags, like I mentioned, are going to be on your photo level. So I'm going to, once again, hop into my project here, and I'm going to search through, and let's take a look at this photo right here. So your tags, you can just add these individually for each photo. You'll see down below at the very bottom, I have my comments button, my tag button, and my annotations. So I'm just going to click on that little tag label right there. And this is going to work pretty much exactly like your labels. So if I want to search for something here, so let's say I want to look for skylight. I can do that. And going to select skylight, click on save. And now you'll see that there's a little blue circle indicating that I have a tag applied to that photo. So same as before, if I want to search for that over here on the desktop version, I'm just going to go to photo. It's going to work pretty much the exact same way. I'm going to click on filter, and you'll see that you have a lot of other filters that are available to you on the photo level. But once again, in this case, we're just going to search for tags, and just going to search for skylight. Select that, apply that filter, and we're good to go. And just like with labels on the project level, you can cross-reference multiple tags at the same time. And if you want that to go back to standard, just exit out. We're back on the full photo list. Now what I can do here, once again, it's going to work pretty much the exact same way where I can filter through those on my mobile device as well. So I'm just going to go back to that picture-in-picture icon. Instead of projects, I'm going to go back to photos. And once again, click on that little grid filter in the lower right-hand corner, go to tags, and select my tag from there that I want to search by. So what I'll also show you here, because this might be important from an office perspective, I'm going to hop into my projects. And actually, I am going to go to my starred project here. And I'm going to mass tag these photos. So let's say I just want to mass tag all of my skylight photos. I'm just going to select all of them that have skylights in them, which in this case looks like we'll just go with these three. And then you'll see that you have this blue actions button right here. So if I click on actions, I can just go down to tag, find that tag, boom, tag those photos, and all of those will have that label applied now. So I can just search through those just as easy as I could with any individually tagged photo. Once again, both on mobile and on my desktop version. All right. So any questions about tags or labels before we move on? All right. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and talk about our to-do list. So to-do list, this is going to be great for your team just in terms of figuring out. Oh, sorry, it looks like we have a question about tags and labels.
Do the tags print on the reports?
Yes, so those will print on reports. Yep, so yeah, anything that you create both on a report for mobile or desktop will include those tags. All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about those to-dos. So with to-dos, this is basically going to make sure that you are getting all the photos that you actually need. And also not only getting the photos that you need, but taking any necessary actions, as part of your process. So this is going to be a great thing for if you are, a project manager, your crew needs to take photos X, Y, Z, and you're not going to be there. What you can do here, so on our project, right above these filter and photo options, and right below this collaborators option right here, you'll see that you have your photos, documents, reports, and to-dos. So if I go into to-dos, you'll see that you have this big blue create to-do list button. So if I click on that, I am going to have the options to create a blank to-do list, or I can use an existing template. So the nice thing about to-do lists is once you create one, you can save it as a template. So if you need to drop it into any future projects, you can do that from a selectable list. And I'll show you how to do that right now. If you click on use existing template, you'll see here that I have a full list I can select from. Just grab any one of those, just click on it and it will populate it. But for today's class, let's just go ahead and create one from scratch. So I'm just going to create a blank to-do list, and we're just going to be real generic, and we're going to call this roofing checklist. And I'm going to click on create to do. Now, much like with reports, you can break this out into sections, or you can just go straight into adding individual tasks. In this case, since we do have those exterior photos and those roofing photos that we're going to need, I'm going to go ahead and break those out into two separate sections. So this first one, once again, I'll call exterior. And then you'll see that you can add these tasks under that section. So in terms of new task, I'm just going to ask for the orientations of the house. So east, west, north, south. And you'll see over here on the right, you can indicate if a photo is required or not. So I can check or uncheck this, and that will indicate if they try and check that off and they have not taken that photo, it will throw them an error, which I'll show you here in just a moment. So I'm just going to keep adding my tasks here. And we're done there. And then I can go ahead and go to my roofing section just by clicking on new section, create my title, and create my tasks there that I need. So I'm just going to say skylights and vent covers. All right. So the one thing that you will note when you are creating this is it's not going to give you a save button or give you any notifications. So yeah, it will auto save. So you won't need to, stop, make sure you save, go through it. You can just keep hammering along, adding your tasks. And then once you're done, if you need to save this as a template for future use, you'll see up here by your title, this little 3-dot ellipses right here. I can click on that and I can save list as template, and it'll just import that title for me. And then we can say roof and exterior checklist. Then create that new template. So that template's created and I can just drop that into any future projects. So now that we have that applied, I can go back to my project. And if I'm out on the field here, I'm just going to hop into that project again. You'll see down below under to-do lists, I have my roofing checklist. So if I'm working this, I need to know what photos I need to take, I can just hop right into this and then start taking my photos. Or if I try and check that off and I haven't taken my photo, you'll see that it gives me that message right there indicating I need to. So I'm just going to click on my camera button. Sarah, smile for the camera. And our photo is added. And I'm just going to click on done. You'll see that's right there. It will also add that directly to the photo feed. So as I go into my photos here, you'll see that that populates in real time, just like it would any other photo added to your feed. All right. So any questions about checklists? All right. In that case, let's go ahead and talk about photo descriptions. And this will be that information that I was describing before, where if you are taking your photos day of and you're wanting to make notes and you're wanting to pull those into future reports, you can do that directly on the photo itself. So if I want to hop in to, once again, my skylight photo here, you'll see right below the section indicating who took that photo and the date that they took that photo, I can add a description. So I can just go ahead and put, we'll say leaky skylight. Gonna save that. And so that way, that is directly on the photo. And if you'll remember, when I'm creating my report, next to my section title, I can click on the options there and I can pull in those photo descriptions. So I don't need to manually go in and add these descriptions later. The other thing that you can do is you can comment directly on the photo itself if you are needing to send this to someone else on your team. So in this case, you know, this leak, I can click on the @ sign and I can notify, we'll just notify Bree on my team here and send that to her, and she will get a notification directly to her phone that I have commented and tagged her on that photo. So you'll also see on the project level here, if I get into that photo, we'll go ahead, scroll down here. You'll see that that shows up right there, as well as my comment shows up right there. And then any additional comments should load onto that photo for me. I can also pull those comments onto my reports as well, although that is typically less common for obvious reasons. All right. So the one last thing I might show you here is just going to be, if you are needing to include date and timestamps on every single one of your photos, I want to make sure that you're all aware that you have a setting directly in your camera settings that will allow you to automatically watermark those photos. So down below in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to see this little head and shoulders icon. And if I click on that, these are going to be this will be my personal feed here. So these are my photos, my projects, my reports, and I can get into my personal settings here as well by clicking on this little gear icon. So if I click on that gear icon, you'll see that there's this preference section, and under camera, you'll see down below, I have these options right here for stamp date and time and stamp GPS coordinates. So I have both of those turned on. So if I need to include that information going forward, you'll see this photo that I took of Sarah. That information is automatically watermarked on that photo. That is saved, that is not removable from the photo. Now, if you are wanting to manually add a timestamp to your photo, it's as easy as just putting it in the annotations section. So you'll see that little squiggly mark there. These are our photo annotations. And in our photo annotations, you'll see that little clock icon. So if I click on that, that will include the date and time that that photo was taken, not that the actual timestamp is being added. So once I'm done there, all I need to do is click on save. And then that will be saved in perpetuity to that photo. Once again, that will also show up on the report. All right, so that should be pretty much everything that you will need to know in order to supplement effectively to insurance. Any other questions before we let you go today?
Jess, can you go back to a to-do list and show the notes section under the tasks?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our to-do list here, I'm going to hop into our roofing checklist. So in each one of these sections here, you'll see that right below the actual task itself, there's this section to add notes. So, you know, I can go ahead and add my note here. And that is saved there. And then they have access to that information as part of their to-do list. And then on the, we'll go ahead, I'm gonna hop into the actual project itself on my mobile version as well. And then in our to-do list here, you'll see that you also can add notes directly in the mobile version. So, and done. All right. Any additional questions? Yep. So if you are talking about that actual like watermarked timestamp there, that will be immobile. That is going to show up in the lower right-hand corner of the photo at all times. However, if you're in the photo annotations, if you click on, once again, that little squiggly mark, that clock functionality, it's as simple as just dragging and dropping it where you need it to be. So you'll see, I just have my finger on the screen here. I'm just dragging it. And you can also pinch to make that smaller, or you can widen to expand that. And then if that's not where you need it to be, you can always just click on that little trash can icon to delete it. But once you have that saved, that is marked on the photo in perpetuity. All right, any other questions? Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, if you do have any additional questions, hopefully you all have your customer success manager's contact information. You can reach out to them at any time with any additional questions. You can also always schedule a one-on-one training with any one of us. If you need to get anybody else on your team trained up, or if you just want to follow up on any of these features and see how it works into your workflow, do not hesitate to set up a time with any one of us. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great week, and thanks for joining us today.